Nyad stars Annette Bening, Jodie Foster, and Reese Ifans, and is directed from the same team that won an Academy Award for directing Free Solo. This is a film that has gone through sort of the festival circuit because it's considered to be an awards contender this year. I'm definitely jumping in a little bit later than some other critics, uh, and I've seen their divisiveness over the film, um, and I definitely have some thoughts. So I do want to talk about that within the context of the film, and just some really interesting things to talk about. But this does have audio description on Netflix, so you can enjoy it in its loveliness and its in all of its wonderful glory with audio description. So um, I gotta say that there's a moment where she's sort of hallucinating, and the audio description for me, I was just like, the audio description just goes with it. There's a moment where she's sort of hallucinating, and she's like, "I see the Taj Mahal and the Yellow Brick Road," and so we're given in the audio description that she sees the Yellow Brick Road that leads to the Taj Mahal, and it's like underwater, and I was just like, "What?" I was just like, I know that to the narrator that feels like, I mean, like, what else do you say to that? You know what I'm saying? In that moment, what else do you say? Like, how else do you describe that? And you're like, there's a yellow brick road that leads to the Taj Mahal. I don't know what else. What is weird about that to you? And I was like, I don't know. I, but damn, I wish I could see that. You know, I was like, I'm like, so there's the yellow brick road leads to the Taj Mahal, but it's all underwater? What? What's happening? I was like so confused. I don't know what the audio description could have done more. It was so random, and it was perfect because it goes to her moment of like when she's like really in it, and she kind of like starts hallucinating because, you know, how long can you swim for and stay sane? So I don't know. She starts seeing shit after a certain point, and that was highlighting that. And I was just like, oh my god, that makes absolutely no sense. And everybody around her was like, yeah, there's a yellow brick road leading to the Taj Mahal. So then we end up seeing apparently a shot of it, and I'm like, I'm trying to put that in my mind. I'm trying to put like Taj Mahal, Yellow Brick Road in my mind, and I just couldn't do it. Couldn't. I couldn't do it, and it's such a small thing to be hung up on. But when that moment came, I was like, what? I wanted to know what their shot looked like. I wanted to know so much. I wanted to know, how did you put the Taj Mahal underwater with a Yellow Brick Road? What does this look like? Anyway, so, but Nyad, yeah, it is a biopic. It's a sports biopic about Diana Nyad, who has caused a lot of controversy recently that is not addressed at all in this film because this film is set in 2013. So all of her views on the transgender community are not brought up here. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about Bruno. No. So you can choose however you feel like to represent this film, but what I would say is a lot of people who are not Diana Nyad worked on a film about Diana Nyad, and they put a lot of time and energy into this craft, not just the actors, but all of the crew, all of those below the line people that you always dip out of the credits, or we now get kicked out of the credits by the streaming services. All those people that worked on this film And sometimes I think we have to be able to separate our distaste for an individual with being able to appreciate the work of people who are not offensive, and in the work that they were hired to do before the individual that they were working with decided to open their mouth and spew uh, shit. So that's my take on that. I did address it. Look at that, right up at the top before we even got to the movie. So another thing I want to address, because I've seen this talked about in other reviews, I hear the term a lot about Diana Nyad as unlikable. She's unlikable for those reasons. The ones I just like, I don't like her for that. But they're like, oh well, it's going to be hard for Annette Bening to win the Oscar this year because she's playing an unlikable character. No, she's playing a determined character. She's playing somebody who is disciplined and who absolutely is very strong-willed and is a fighter. And I think if this character was a dude, nobody would be sitting there going, oh, well, he plays an unlikable character. So I think it's just this unrealistic expectation that we continue to put upon female characters about what they should and should not be saying, or how they should be acting. And I think that's a really unfair comparison to say that she's a bitch. So she's such a terrible person to have as a lead. No. You know what? She just wants to get in the water and swim for 56 fucking hours. That's what she wants to do. And she's going to train, and she's going to complete this goal. She's going to complete a task. It's determination, but you're mixing as being a nasty person as being determined. And she's the type of person that when life throws her a road barrier, she just gets more determined. And she's even more angry and more deciding to break through that barrier. You know, you tell her that the wall is thicker than she thought it was, she's going to find a way to get through that wall. That's the type of person that Diana Nyad is presented in this film and played by Annette Bening. Played exemplary well by Annette Bening. Bening is fierce, and there are shots of her, if you stay through the credits, there are shots of her at the end training swimming to be able to do this. Obviously, I don't think Annette Bening swam for 56 hours. Be insane. But she had to presumably spend a lot of time in the water. Very physical performance for her. There's only just so much a stunt double can do and also make this film look at all like it's supposed to be good. I love the fact that it's from the directors of Free Solo, because they've handled documentary versions of stuff like this before, and they conceptually, I think, are the best people to direct a film like this and make it look fantastic and make it look like it's epic and make it look like it's a journey and we're following it. And it has I wouldn't say that it breaks out of the traditional biopic mold, but it does have a little bit of almost a documentary feel to it, almost like a docudrama, like we're watching. They use a lot of archive footage of the real Nyad speaking in when she was younger, and then we use Bening to represent her when she's older. So it's this really weird, sort of awesome blend, and it's a nice perspective to have when you take directors who are in their first featured debut, fiction. I don't want to say fictional because it's not really fictional, but their first when they're breaking out of the non-fiction genre with getting away from documentaries and heading into this. It's an interesting choice to keep them coming along, because they really do provide so much of an almost like an individuality experience to it. Like Nobody else would have had this eye. Nobody else would have understood the shot. Nobody else would have gotten the complexity of the scene. There's just some really interesting choices that I feel like they make. I don't know why this film is getting derided so much. Maybe I don't know. Maybe there's just some weird shots and camera angles or stuff in there. I don't know. But for me, as a blind viewer, relying on audio description and the strength of the performance and the script and the story, I thought it was strong. Perhaps it stays a little bit too close to the um, the biopic formula of just kind of being utterly predictable, which it can't. It's a problem it can't shake, and no biopic like this can truly shake because you know how it ends. You know, I just said the other day, in one of my Oscar prediction videos, we were talking about Napoleon, and I said I don't know why Apple isn't screening this film. It's not like people don't know how it ends. Like, it's a historical epic. Why is it not screening for critics? Like, why are they worried about hiding this film from people? It can't possibly have a twist ending. What does Napoleon end with? Like, secretly he snuck off to America and lives in a little home in Montana? Like, surprise. Bet you didn't know that about him. No, so of course this is eventually, Nyad's gonna make the journey. Otherwise, why would we be making this film? You know, but that's the same thing about any biopic. Is that at some point there's a reason we're making this film, because somebody won a fight, somebody hit that home run, somebody won that championship trophy, somebody finished the race first, somebody broke through a glass ceiling or broke a barrier or saved some lives or whatever it is. They did that thing to earn the biopic. We don't just make biopics about random people, you know. We typically don't make biopics about people who fail either. Those are depressing. So we make biopics that are inspirational. And I think the greatest problem that they have is showing sort of the road to the ending of the film, which is convincingly trying to make it feel like she has to make a couple runs. I guess it's a spoiler. Again, this is a true story, so I don't know what's considered a spoiler to you. But she has to make a couple attempts before she actually ends up landing the final one. And obviously, when I was sitting there and I was like, it was like 30 minutes into a 2-hour movie and she starts her first run, I was like, well, this is not going to, she's not landing it on the first time through. So I hope everybody has that same sort of like common sense presence of mind when we're watching this film, and that's not really a spoiler for you, but yeah, I didn't think she was going to get in the water and then immediately just, well, I got it, did it first time through. That was easy, you know. I feel like they want her to climb this mountain. They want her to get to the other side. So we have to be able to see Benning sort of bleed for this performance, so that way she can feel like she's legitimately winning her Oscar this year, which I hope she does, because she's been nominated 4 times before. She's never won. This is definitely a performance that's worth being in the conversation. It's a very strong Best Actress race this year, but Benning absolutely deserves to be in the conversation. However, if I had to pick one performance, it would be Jodie Foster. Jodie Foster's absolutely slaying. She plays Bonnie. She plays Annette Bening's best friend, who I assumed going into this had been her coach. I didn't realize she was just the best friend. So Bonnie had to learn how to become a coach to help Diana on her journey. So she had to jump into it and learn how to be there and support. I love the dynamic relationship showing 2 lesbian leads in a film in which they basically they dated once, some 30 years ago, and they've just been best friends ever since. It's sort of like they went out on a date and they were like, this isn't really going to work out for us romantically, but we seem to be we seem to have a really good rapport with each other, and we're going to continue to just be friends. And so they have this really good sort of like I'm your person type of thing, without any sort of sexual connotation to anything that they ever say or do. Um, it's not like at the end of the movie that they find each other and they're like, I've realized that for 30 years I've been in love with you. Nothing like that happens. They're just friends. They're just really good friends for the whole film. And it's nice to see that represented in the film and represented healthily, because we get that in straight relationships all the time, but for some reason in gay movies it's our representation is so low that everybody just has to immediately be hooked up with somebody, like, I'm gay, are you gay? Oh my god, we must have sex immediately and be together forever. It's nice to just explore the friendship side of this without any sort of entanglements to the whole performance. The last thing I absolutely have to touch on is, can we please put Rhys Ifans into this Oscar conversation, because he's never been in one before. Not really, not seriously anyway. He's fantastic. There's a little snippet of what the real guy sounds like, and Rhys is on point. I mean, wow. Like, they use a real life footage of he plays the captain, the navigator of this project, who is sort of keeping track of, like the Gulf Stream and the weather and stuff like that, and making sure that Diana isn't just swimming and not going anywhere. And there's sort of even a tragic twist to his character, but Rhys is fantastic. It's like one of the best things he's done in his career, and somehow he's being dwarfed, and he very much feels like the third lead of this film. He has a ton of screen time. It's an excellent performance, and he is not afraid to go toe-to-toe with these very strong-willed women, and while also not feeling like he's mansplaining all the time. He's just very much like, let's get in this. This is what it is. This is what you wanted. You said that you hated your last navigator for these reasons. And I said, I don't do that. I do it this way. And that's what you wanted. Well, I'm doing it this way, so you need to listen to me. It's just a really strong performance, and he sounds so much like the actual guy. At first, it felt a little bit like a Gerard Butler impersonation to me, but then when I actually heard the guy speak in sort of archival footage, I was like, oh my god, Rhys Ifans just nailed the hell out of that accent. I mean, like, on point, like 100%. He could have voice activated something of that man's. It's freakish, to be honest. I was like, damn, you really, I didn't know you were that good at voices, but, all right, you got that down pat. Yeah, it's, I enjoyed this a lot. Is it one of the best films of the year? Is it going to get a Best Picture nomination? I don't think it breaks quite out of the typical sports drama mold in the way that it needs to become one of the 10 best of the year. That's what I'll say. I think it's going to fall a little bit short. I think people who are completely degrading this film, I don't understand them. Conceptually, I do not understand those people. This film has enough dynamics to it. It has scenes. It has the scenes of frustration where people, she gets frustrated with the fact that she hasn't been able to nail it, and she gets angry and upset, and I guess that's where people go, she's playing a difficult person. She's playing a little bit of a bitch. It's like, well, no, she's not, because if she was a dude, nobody would even think twice. They would just be like, wow, this is a great performance. Congratulations. I think of so many like sports movies based around male characters throwing temper tantrums that I'm just like, what? She's not allowed to do it, you know? She's not consistently nasty the entire film. If that's what you're thinking. She's not abrasive the entire film. No, she just has her moments like any athlete does in any other biopic. So it's just like, I think that's just such an invalid uh, conversation to even be bringing up, that she's playing an unlikable character. I don't think she is. I think she's playing a character that we see at her best and at her worst. And that's what makes this film interesting. You have it by sports biopics always follow the same sort of mold, and the only way you're going to break out from that is to show us as much as you can something different, a little bit of a different flavor, a little bit of behind the scenes. Show us how the sausage got made here. Show us how hard it was to overcome and achieve, and that's what makes these individually interesting, is the journey. It's not the actual achievement itself, because at the end of all of these sports dramas, somebody achieves something. Somebody wins a belt, somebody wins a trophy, somebody breaks a record, somebody does something, somebody becomes president, somebody, I don't know, writes a book. Whatever it is, they always achieve something at the end of the film. So we didn't even need to get to that point. This film could have ended without her ever actually completing the task, and just like getting close to it. They could have just shown sort of Key West and had that moment and been like, wow, we're close, and we'll just assume she got there, and then like just fade out. You know, we didn't actually even need to see her get to that final point, because it's a sports biopic about something that really happened. So of course we know she makes it. Anyway, you know, but it does. It follows the biopic thing just, I think, a little bit too close. Um, Very interesting choices made by these directors. I think this is a very promising film, and they allow their three leads the opportunity to grow and breathe so much. It's so interesting. It's interesting how they explore this journey, how they explore how they tackle this. They show the training. Uh, I am impressed with uh, likely the work that Benning had to put into it to be believable in the water. I don't know how good of a swimmer she was heading into this movie, but she spends 90% of the movie in the water. So she has to be real comfortable with the water, even if she's not. I don't want to say that I assume that they filmed this in the waters between Cuba and Florida, but wherever they're filming this, she still has to be comfortable floating for long periods of time and then swimming in scenes to make it look like she's swimming. So, um, uh, and she's 65. So, yeah, she has to do it. So, um, I'm very impressed by this performance. I absolutely believe all three actors should get nominations. All three gave performances that instantly made it to my personal lists. As far as the film goes, I think the film's just a little bit shy for me of being perfection. I think this is just it's a genre that's just been done to death. The sports biopic. I think that's what's going to hurt it more than anything else. Is it's just like, okay, it's another one. It's another biopic. Oh, it's another inspirational sports biopic. We know how this one ends, you know, and it ends exactly the way it's supposed to historically, but yet still I can't help but think, is that enough? So, um, audio description, I mean, they're out there in the boat describing the weather, describing the various sea creatures that she's in the water with, because I don't know if you've been in the ocean before, but there are these things called sharks. There's also these jellyfish, and those absolutely do come into play. And she has some interesting ways of trying to avoid them, but still, she's trying to go with an unassisted, unaided swim and make it that way. But so she's not using a cage. So she's using sort of really interesting technology that I had no idea even existed. So, but there's a whole team that supports her journey, and I don't know. It's very interesting. I honestly, literally just thought this movie was going to be Rhys Ifans on a boat with Jodie Foster watching Annette Bening swimming off to the side. I was pretty impressed with the setup. I knew nothing about this going into it in terms of how they managed to achieve it. So I liked how everything works out and how they described it all. And the only thing that I really want to know, I need to know more. I need to know more about the Yellow Brick Road to the Taj Mahal underwater. Conceptually, this is blowing my mind. My mind is blown and unsettled. Otherwise, I'm giving Nyad an A minus. It's not going to make my top 10 of the year, and I don't think it's going to get Best Picture. But I think it absolutely deserves to be in the Oscar conversation. And I think some people have been really unfair about certain elements of the film and need to go back and re-examine their life and apologize to their mothers for how they talk about women. So anyway, watch this film. It's got some great performances, and maybe let's try to not just immediately assume that because a woman is driven, that automatically makes her unlikable in film. So I completely disagree with her stance on other things, but within the confines of this film, I don't disagree with her choices. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Please click that subscribe button. I'm close to 200. I'd really love to have you on board as I break my goal for the end of the year. I should easily be able to cross 200, hopefully, with your help. You can also go to my website, MacTheMovieGuy.com. You can follow me on X, Threads, or Instagram at MacTheMovieGuy. You can go to the Audio Description Project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know as audio description where you can watch it. And you can go to the ADNA.org. That's the ADNA.org. It'll let you know more about who's narrating what. That's it. I will watch something else and see you guys on the other side.